So I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I wanted to hear your hot takes and see what I think about them, right? I want to know what the community is feeling. So on Twitter, I asked for everybody's hot takes. If you want to follow me on Twitter, by the way, links in the description at KWEN_C, Quincy. And you can follow me there. But nonetheless, let's get into some of these hot takes because some of y'all came real spicy. All right, his first hot take. Spencer says Captain Crunch is super mid and cornflakes is an elite cereal. If this is how we starting off, we starting off on a bad foot. What is this? What is this? This man like bran flakes? Like, how do you like cornflakes over? I'm not saying cornflakes is a bad cereal, but I'm also not saying it's a good cereal. You know what I mean? Like, it's the cereal that you can deal with. It's like Cheerios and that, right? Cornflakes and Cheerios. It's the cereal you eat when you should know better, right? When you a kid, you going straight for the Captain Crunch. When you a teenager, if you still eat cereal, you're going straight for the Captain Crunch. When you're in college, you're going straight for the Captain Crunch. When you start paying for your own health insurance and your doctor starts telling you got to watch certain glucose levels and all that, that's when you grab the cornflakes. Because before you grab them cornflakes, you grabbing the Frosted Flakes. Like, come on, stop playing with me. The next hot take is from my man Dog Pound Nation, who says Kareem Hunt's absence had a bigger impact to the offense's poor performance than Baker's injury, meaning Baker's poor play came from more of the mental side rather than a physical limitation. It's interesting. It's an interesting take here. I assume this is going to start up a firestorm in the comment section. Here's what I'll say about it. I do think we don't talk about Kareem Hunt's absence that much, and it probably should be talked about a little bit more. But man, I don't know. There's a good video you can watch by JT O'Sullivan. He's a former NFL quarterback, right? And he was going through Baker's game against Green Bay and kind of explaining what he felt like was going wrong here. And from how he describes it, and again, JT O'Sullivan, I've had him on this channel. He's always somebody who's going to try to come from a good place with his takes. He's always just a well-meaning person. Like, this is a dude who I don't think has an agenda one way or another with Baker Mayfield, because I wouldn't see a reason for him to have an agenda against Baker Mayfield because he's defended Baker Mayfield before. But he's going through that. And one of the things he says in the video that really piqued my interest, hearing it from an NFL quarterback or former NFL quarterback, is Baker tends to get in his own way sometimes. He tends to make things a little bit more difficult than he needs to. And I think he piled on a lot at the end of the year. I think he was a lot worse at the end of the year when he was presumably more healthy than he was after the Arizona game. I think his worst games came in the last two games that he played, probably the Detroit game, and that's an issue. The Minnesota game was real bad too, but that's the issue, right? Trying to decipher whether Baker Mayfield's poor play are a matter of circumstance exclusively or a matter of ability, right? And I think the answer is probably a little bit of both, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of people, right? Because we want to live in a world where either Baker Mayfield is trash or either Baker Mayfield is the guy who's going to save the Cleveland Browns and, bring us to a championship, right? We don't want to live in the in-between, but I think we are. That's the reality, is the in-between. Baker Mayfield is a quarterback who's capable of greatness and capable of absolute mess at the same time. And that's just what we have there with Baker. I've accepted that that's what we have at this point because that's what the evidence shows. If he pulls out 5 great seasons straight, and we never talk about 2019 to 2021 again, I'll be happy. I don't care. But, right now in 2022, after 4 years of seasons with Baker Mayfield, I think there's no way that you can't say that he's inconsistent. Because the sample size of data is inconsistent, right? Like, it's just, even with the same coach, it's inconsistent. Bengal Lane with the next hot take says, let me get it up on screen. Steelers will finish last in the AFC North for the next 3 years. Damn. I ain't ready to go that far. I am not. Look, I have had terrible luck predicting the death of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I am not going to start trying to change that luck now. So all I'll say is Cincinnati has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, that offense. I think they're going to probably be around and relevant for quite a while. The Baltimore Ravens, they were hurt to oblivion this year. I know they weren't the most injured team the Titans were, but the Titans did not lose starters at the level that Baltimore just straight up lost starters at. So I would say that Baltimore is probably going to be really good next year and really good for the presumable future, assuming that they lock up Lamar Jackson. Either way, they're not going to be a last place team again unless Lamar gets hurt, in my opinion, at least. And then you got the Browns, the Browns roster is good enough to keep them out of last place for the next few years. And in Pittsburgh, you look at them and the roster's not great. They have a good roster, not a great roster. And they have less of an answer at quarterback than the Browns do. No matter how negative people feel I am about Baker Mayfield, make no mistake about it, I'm not about to say that Mason Rudolph is comparable. Well, at least right now in 2022, right? But yeah, that's just kind of where we're at. I think, the Steelers, it would make sense. I don't even know if that's a hot take. I think that's the regular take. It's just, since we're so used to Steeler domination, that becomes a hot take, or at least domination over the Cleveland Browns. The next hot take comes from Bennett, who says Burrow is obviously really good, but he's not on the level of Allen's, Mahomes, or Herbert. And I'd take any of them over him for the next 10 years, and it's not particularly close. I would not take Justin Herbert over Joe Burrow. I just flat out wouldn't. I think Burrow just is a better quarterback than Herbert. Herbert more talented. And I think what's happening here is we sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, I think a lot of people are, when quarterbacks are very skilled, but not necessarily very talented, and I'm using this on a NFL good quarterback scale. I'm not using this on a regular scale. He's obviously talented compared to the normal quarterback in the NFL, but when you're comparing him to elite quarterbacks in the NFL, he's not as talented as those guys, right? And I think this happened with Brady, right? Brady is extremely skilled, one of the most skilled quarterbacks to ever play the game. Just not a very talented quarterback, right? Doesn't have natural gifts like other quarterbacks of his era. And unless they are like Peyton Manning, where it's obvious that man's a football genius because you just watch him on the field and that's what people have put out for 20 years about him, it's really hard to appreciate or understand what you're watching, because it's not as obvious to the eye as seeing Patrick Mahomes throw the ball 70 yards or Josh Allen with 3 defenders draped over him throw 70 yards. The same thing with Justin Herbert, right? Those are more physically talented quarterbacks. But a dude like Joe Burrow, who does not rely on any of his physical gifts that much, he runs a little bit, but if he has a better offensive line, that won't be necessary. Dude like that could be around for 20 years. Josh Allen, he might be at his peak for 10 years. Justin Herbert, same thing. Patrick Mahomes, he's not going to be able to be freak Patrick Mahomes in his late 30s, right? That's going to have to change for him. Their games are going to have to adjust. Joe Burrow is not going to have to adjust his game in order to stay on top, because he doesn't rely on his gifts, because he doesn't have to worry about those gifts waning. He is what he is, and that's really not going to change. Like, he gets by on his intelligence more than he gets by on his gifts. Those guys could be around for a while. It ain't as fun to watch. You know what I mean? I'll watch Lamar Jackson over a Joe Burrow game any day of the week because Lamar Jackson's just a funner quarterback to watch. But, you know, if you're talking about who you want on your roster for the next 10 years, Joe Burrow's at the top of the list. Like, he's not above Mahomes, but it's arguable if he's above Allen. I think they're on the same tier. I really do. I think Herbert's not the one that doesn't belong on that tier. But thank you for the hot take, Bennett. This next hot take comes from Eddie, who says Malcolm Butler's Super Bowl INT should have been called a pass interference. I disagree. We cannot complain every time a Super Bowl comes down to a penalty and then advocate for more penalties. We cannot do that. We cannot. You just got to let him play, man. And honestly, he got to the ball at the same time that wide receiver got to the ball. And if he's not allowed to do that, then you might as well just outlaw defense. Wait, what is Malcolm Butler supposed to do? Let the dude catch the ball in the red zone? Yeah, come on, man. That's not pass interference. I think we should just get rid of pass interference. Yeah, that's my hot take. We should just get rid of pass interference. That'll bring the run game back. Then the Browns could get away with running the ball 45 times or something like that. And it would be all right. You know what I mean? So I'm advocating for getting rid of pass interference. That's my hot take. Got a hot take here from Jangle, who says Baker wins comeback player of the year this year, and the Browns will be in the Super Bowl next year. I hope so. I hope that's true. I really do. You know, if Baker can win comeback player of the year and the Browns can be in the Super Bowl, that's really all I want, right? Is the Browns to win the Super Bowl. You know, if Baker does it and he wins comeback player of the year, good on him, man. Good on him. If he could do the Joe Burrow thing, good on him. I hope he does. You know, there's nothing more than I'd wish to be wrong about Baker. I hope he is the next Joe Montana. I doubt it. But, you know, if it happens, I'm not going to sit here being mad about it. The next one comes from Nick, who says the Browns will trade Baker. We all over the place with these Baker hot takes, man. The Browns will trade Baker and 2 firsts for Russ and make the AFC Championship game. I don't think that if the Browns get Russ, they get to the AFC Championship game but lose in 22 and 23 thing is a hot take. What I will say is a hot take is that the Browns are going to trade Baker and 2 firsts for Russ. Well, I don't know. Baker and 2 firsts. It's a heavy price. Depends on when those 2 firsts are, right? Are they back to back or are they spread out? I don't know. It's a rich price. But then you don't have to find another trade partner for Baker. And you might have to add the other first in. Who knows? Again, if Russ comes here and the Browns get to the Super Bowl, cool. If Baker wins comeback player of the year and the Browns get to the Super Bowl, cool. If it's Kirk Cousins, cool. If it's Derek Carr, cool. If it's Gardner Minshew, Kyler Murray, Landry Jones, I don't care who it is. Like, let me be very clear. Just don't care who the quarterback is unless they're bringing me quarterback play that can get me to the Super Bowl. Like, that's what I want. I want the Browns to get into the Super Bowl. I feel like they have a roster worthy of going to the Super Bowl, and I feel like what's been holding them back has been quarterback play, at least this year. 2020, no, quarterback play didn't hold them back. That's why I'm open to anything and anybody who will be willing and able to get the Browns to that level, because quarterback play is what held us back in 2022 or 2021. I don't want that to be what holds the Browns back in 2022. And that's going to require Baker taking a massive leap from what he did in 2021. That's either going to require the Browns to make a trade. That's either going to require the Browns to make a move. Whatever it requires, whomever it requires, as long as they're able to play in the NFL currently, I don't care. I'm not attached to a name. I just want to get to the Super Bowl. I am not attached to a name, a narrative. I want brown and orange in the Super Bowl. That's what I want. And I need a quarterback I need a quarterback play. I don't even want to like say a quarterback because that makes it seem like, oh, we need this one. We need a individual season. We need a quarterback play. We need quarterback play. It's good enough to get to the Super Bowl. Whoever's going to be able to do that, that's who's going to be my favorite quarterback next year. And, that's all I want. That's all I care about. I'm so over the tribalism over who the quarterback should be. I don't care at this point. Just whoever it is better be good. You know what I mean? And if they're not, well, I'm going to critique them and deal with it. The next question, or not the question, this ain't Q&A, this is hot takes. The next hot take comes from Helmet Stripes, who says sky judges should spot every ball, earpiece it down to the linesman. It's too difficult for the refs to do it well. See, this is a good one in theory, right? But I think in execution, it will be massively fumbled. I mean, we still have issues getting the play call from the booth to the sideline to the helmet, right? Like that's still an issue at times. I think Joe Burrow against the Titans had his communications go out for like a quarter. So imagine if we got to a point, right, where we're just fully relying on the sky judge to spot the ball, right? And the issue isn't going to be if they do this next year, right? The issue comes in like 5 years once everybody's gotten used to it. But imagine if, that system, it gets vulnerable and attacked during the game, and then all of a sudden it's giving bad spots. Or if that system gets taken out during the game because of a weather storm or something like that, and all of a sudden there's nobody there to spot the ball. I think personally, spotting the ball is a trivial enough task that, you should just have the refs do it and deal if there's human error. It's like calling balls and strikes. Everybody wants it to be like a robot that calls balls and strikes, but it's just one of those things. It's a human game. You're going to have human error in it. I'm fine with how we spot balls now, and I don't think that's where you make the game better. I think you just slow it down and make it, then all of a sudden you're reviewing every spot, and then, it might take some time. We just know how the league does these things and implement these things. They do it the worst way possible, and, it's going to be another thing that we hate, right? Remember how we were all for pass interference reviews, and then we got to doing them, and then all of a sudden it sucked? You know what I mean? I think that would backfire tremendously. This one from Nobody says Lamar is never going back to MVP level ever again. I think he was dangerously close to MVP level. I think the first 4 games of the year last year. Then he got hurt and everybody else around him got hurt. I don't know. I've seen Lamar do too many things over the last 2 years to think that he's going to be done. You know what I mean? It's kind of like why I don't sit here and doubt the Steelers anymore, because they've proven me wrong enough that I'm just going to let them do what they do. You know what I mean? Every time people have predicted death for them, I think Lamar is the same way to me. Every time I'm like, oh, Lamar's going to get figured out. Oh, Lamar's not going to be back to this. Oh, Lamar's going to, and then he comes out and then he makes me look stupid. So in the vein, in the interest of not having Lamar Jackson make me look stupid anymore, I will respectfully disagree with this. I don't think that's true. I don't know if he ever wins an MVP again, right? Like, it's very hard to win a MVP. But I do think that he's going to be around that level probably for the next 3-4 years, man. Like, who knows? Who knows what? Look, he showed some progression in the pocket early in this year, and then he showed some regression later. I don't know what he turns into next year, right? But what I do know is that this year is the closest that you could say he had to a bad year, right? Like, this is Lamar's closest that you could say. He was really good his rookie year. He was excellent his second year. And then last year, he was really good too. And this year, he was as shaky as he's ever been. But even then, he went 8-3 with the team that was heavily injured and in first place before he got injured, right? So, one bad season out of 4, I don't know. Especially when one of them seasons were MVP level. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you going to tell me that dude's done already. He ain't even out his rookie deal. That's a bit far from me. But that's your hot takes. Gotta be honest, Thought y'all would cook it up a little hotter than that. Maybe next time we do this, whenever I do this, follow me on Twitter. We'll make it even hotter. But thank you for submitting your hot takes. Hope you guys have a great day. Have a good night.